Hello everybody, my name is Lorna Grey and this is Clang, who has come along to listen to a book all about him. And this book is called Clang and the Party. And I know how much you'll want to see that picture. There he is. Right, I'm going to read as much as I can for you until I have to stop. This is called Chapter 1, The Dress Shop. There we are. Buzz, flap, quack, snore. Wallop, thump, ouch. It was a hazy summer's day in the sleepy village of much moaning. Bees buzzed and flowers opened to say hello. Down Vicarage Lane, splishy, splashy, quacky ducks flapped their wings on the busy duck pond. In Silly Sausage Cottage, Lady Wallopy Thump, Wallopy to her family, was getting ready to go shopping with Clang, her dog. She and her sisters had lost all their family money playing bingo. They had lost nearly everything they owned. So now they lived in a cramped, smelly cottage with no servants. Fancy that! Come on, Clang, Lady Wallopy called, yanking him along. Clang raised a fluffy eyebrow. He knew it was useless to resist. But a walk with Lady Wallopy was like a trip to Mrs. Claw the vet. Not good. Bye, Lavinia! Bye, Esme! Do some housework! Moaned Lady Wallopy Thump, who never did any. Slamming the front door and scaring the birds, she set off with Clang. Lady Lavinia, her unusualness, and Lady Esme, her silliness, stuck their fingers in their ears. Not listening, can't hear you, they sniggered. I bet you never do that. They never did housework, ever. Lady Esme watched the silliest children's TV all day, and Lady Lavinia knitted scarves and played the piano. She happily wore very unusual outfits. Today she was wearing a red football kit and a pink tutu. See what I mean? The blue cloudless sky promised a hot day as Lady Wallopy Thump and Clang trudged along the dozing high street. Wallop, thump, bang, plod. Lady Wallopy was famous in much moaning for being very clumsy. The golden stone walls around the Reverend Snoop's crumbling, leaky old vicarage were bumped and banged into weekly. Ouch! Another bruise, she whimpered, rubbing her leg. Clang just sighed. He was used to it. Lady Wallopy squashed her wide strawberry-coloured hat further down on her grey curls until it looked like someone with a very big bottom had just sat on it. Oh, come on, Clang, you miserable mutt, she moaned, tugging on his lead. The dress shop closes early today. Clang groaned and sniffed a plant to slow them down. He just wanted to go home. Even the vet. Anywhere but the dress shop. He plodded along on his big black paws. Clang was rather special, as he often thought like clever humans. Nothing like the silly sausages he lived with, but sensible ones. Do you know any sensible sausages? It is going to end badly, Clang thought. He knew this because he had remembered what had happened a few years ago. His nose went pink, just thinking about it. The Pretty Woman dress shop had 2 large windows with pretend ladies in them. Clang knew they were pretend ladies. Once, desperate for a wee, Clang had sniffed them all, carefully. They didn't smell like real ladies, so he weed on one of them. When the lady didn't scream, he realised he was right. I said he was clever. So Clang weed on the next one without bothering to sniff her. Unfortunately, Mrs. Poddlebottom, the owner, was standing very still in the window that day, spying on passers-by. Clang mistook Mrs. Poddlebottom for a pretend lady and wet all her leg too. "You are banned for rudeness!" shrieked a pointy-fingered, red-faced, damp-legged Mrs. Poddlebottom. Oh, she really was very moany. "You and your filthy dog are banned!" she shouted at a cringing Lady Wallopy Thump. Clang's mouth opened to complain at the insult. He was really quite clean. You know how dogs like to lick themselves all over. 3 years had gone by with no visits to the shop, but now Lady Wallopy Thump needed a dress, just in case there was a special occasion. Her old dresses looked awful. "I hope Mrs. Poddlebottom has forgotten us," whined Clang. Clang was rarely forgotten. He had brown splotches that looked like gravy had been dropped on him, and one of his ears stuck straight out sideways like a shelf. The other ear was too long and flopped forwards. It bobbed up and down wildly as he walked on his large tufty paws. Mrs. Poddlebottom was tall and very bony. She had a hooky nose with a drip at the end and a huge wobbly wart on her chin. Customers couldn't help but stare as it wobbled about, and the not nice children said, "Oh, what a big spot!" in 2 loud whispers. Mrs. Poddlebottom was very proud of her shop. It was the only dress shop in much moaning, next to the Big Bun Bakers. Clang could smell the sweet bun deliciousness, and his nose twitched as he walked quietly beside Lady Wallopy. They reached the shop. The gold bell above the shiny door tinkled invitingly as they squeezed through the opening. They were the only customers. "Phew, fewer witnesses," sighed Clang, glancing around the shop. The visit started surprisingly well. Lady Wallopy Thump browsed, and Clang tried his best toothy smile. Mrs. Poddlebottom looked on nervously at him, and then Lady Wallopy, and wrung her hands. Clang hoped she'd forgotten he'd weed on her. Within a few minutes, Lady Wallopy Thump had spotted a pink stripy dress. "Ooh!" she cried excitedly as she waddled over to it, squeezing herself between the 2 narrow spaces. Clothes rails shook a bit, and Mrs. Poddlebottom squealed, "Oh, careful! I say, be careful!" Lady Wallopy wasn't listening. She was too busy humming and admiring the dress. Hum, hum. "It is lovely. I suppose I could wear it to Lord Actually's summer ball," she wondered aloud. She hated the summer ball, but she loved new dresses. Buzz. A fly was zooming around near Clang's nose. Lady Wallopy held up the dress and was turning this way and that in front of the long mirror. She forgot all about Clang as she leaned towards the long mirror by the window display and leaned forward to admire herself better. Clang twisted himself the opposite way to chase the bothersome fly. "Grrr!" he shouted at the blue bottle, and as Clang lunged, Lady Wallopy Thump lost her balance. She wibbled and wobbled, and then, "No!" Mrs. Poddlebottom screamed. Too late. Tripping over Clang, who yelped loudly, Lady Wallopy Thump toppled into a new display of expensive flowery dresses. Crash! Wallop! Thump! The dresses tumbled in a confusion of colour all over the floor, in an untidy mess. So did Lady Wallopy Thump. Bump! Ah! She shrieked loudly as she thumped onto her bottom in the middle of the pile. Mrs. Poddlebottom shrieked even louder as she watched the nightmarish scene of ruined dresses. Why me? She sobbed, stamping her feet up and down like a toddler, making her warts wobble like jelly. They're from Paris! Look at them all! She sobbed, as Clang got tangled up in the display stand trying to escape. Mrs. Poddlebottom dodged falling clothes and clattering hangers as she dashed towards the mess, and at the same time Clang suddenly lifted his right front paw to lick off a tickly spider. Mrs. Poddlebottom flew over Clang's large tufty toes just as Lady Wallaby Thump was heaving herself up. No! Cried Mrs. Poddlebottom shrilly. Crash! Clatter! Shriek! Poor Mrs. Poddlebottom went zooming into the window display. She landed on the pretend lady models that clattered into a noisy tangle of arms and legs. Ah! Screamed Mrs. Poddlebottom as she lay on her back with her skinny legs waving in the air like baby tree trunks. And there you can see what happened in the window display. There's all the people looking. So I'm going to stop there. And if you would like to find out what happens to Clang and the party, perhaps you'd like to read this next to your dog and see if they like it too. So thank you so much for listening to the beginning of the story. I hope when you read it you enjoy it. And Clang and I send you lots of love for now. Bye bye.
Hello everybody, my name is Paula Towers and I'm the author of Rory the Rescue Dog, the rescue dog who became a rescuer. I'm a music teacher and I have lots of children coming to my home and they all love the dogs, every one of them. So I decided, seeing that Rory was such a special dog, which you'll find out about in the book, that I'd write a book all about him and our adventures. The book is based on true stories that actually happened to us, with a bit of extra things as well. There's stories, but as well as stories, there are also some poems and different activities that you can do. The poems can also be songs, because I've written some music to go with the songs. These can be downloaded from the website, which I'll talk about more in a moment. All the stories in this book are based on true events that actually happened. There are some extra bits put in, but it's all basically based on true events. So here we go. The Big Rescue. Rory, 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 help! I screamed as the water got higher and higher and nearer. Every second wasted was a second nearer to the end. If Rory couldn't save me, I would end up in the fast-flowing river, and any hopes of surviving that were very slim. He was my last hope. Everything else I'd tried had failed. There was nothing else for it. I was putting my life into the paws of a 3-year-old dog. I'd only had Rory a short time, but here I was, clinging on to life by a tuft of grass and asking the impossible of my new best friend. I'd decided to take Rory for a walk along the Severn Way, a footpath that runs along the banks of the River Severn for miles and miles and miles. This was one of Rory's favourite walks, even though he didn't like the water much. He would just about get his feet wet before trotting back up the bank to me, shaking his paws one by one as if something particularly nasty was stuck to the bottom. I had to drive to get to the river, so Rory excitedly jumped into the car, realising we were going for a special walk. It didn't take us long to get there, and when we arrived, Rory jumped out of the car and ran ahead of me as usual, sniffling and snuffling in the long grass as he went. I can't keep up with him, but as soon as I whistle or call his name, or even cough, he runs back as fast as he can, hoping to be rewarded with a treat. Now the River Severn is a tidal river. Twice a day the tide comes up the river, the same way that it comes up the beach at the seaside. When the tide is rising, the river fills up very quickly, sometimes forming a wave as the water is squashed up. When it's an exceptionally high tide, people even surf the wave on surfboards or in canoes as far as they can go. When the tide is ebbing back to the sea again, the water level drops so much that in some places big sandbanks and small beaches appear. The tide was out that day as Rory and I set off on our walk. The water was calm and it was a sunny, warm day, just right for fossil hunting. There are lots of fossils at the bottom of the River Severn. The most common are called devil's toenails, which, to some people, look like long, curly black toenails. I think they look more like very big black bear claws. If they really are the devil's toenails, he must have hundreds and hundreds of feet with thousands and thousands of toenails and spend every night trimming them. Other fossils there are called ammonites, which look like curly-whirly fireworks called Catherine wheels. They are much harder to find than devil's toenails, as they are quite rare. I do wonder if I might find a dinosaur fossil one day, which would be really cool, but I haven't found one yet. We walked along the riverbank until I spotted a small beach below us. It looked like a perfect fossil place, but it was at the bottom of a steep rocky cliff covered with bushes, trees and grass. I looked around for an easier way down to the little fossil beach and found a far easier slope a little way back the way we had come. Rory loved the beach. He loved running in the squelchy thick mud, his legs sometimes sinking in up to his belly. He found some sticks which he had brought back to me to throw for him. He nervously paddled in the shadows and sniffed around the base of the sandy cliff, trying to find any little creatures that he could have for his elevenses. Thankfully, he didn't find any. In the meantime, I was concentrating on the ground, bent down picking up rocks, digging in the mud, turning over stones, totally focused on finding fossils. I worked my way along the small beach, perfectly content and oblivious to my surroundings. Then, from somewhere, I heard what sounded faintly like a train. I stood up and cupped my ears in my hands in order to hear better. It did sound like a train, and it was getting nearer and nearer. Then I realised with horror that the noise wasn't a train, but rather the sound of a tidal wave heading up the river. It was racing towards me, millions of litres of water forcing its way between the banks that get narrower and narrower upstream. I looked downriver and to my even greater horror saw the big wave appear around the next bend, heading straight for us. "Don't panic, Rory, don't panic." Here we were at the bottom of the cliff, with no chance of going back the way we'd come before the wave could be upon us. I called Rory, who sprang to my side. We had to get up the cliff somehow, or we would both be drowned. I started to clamber up, pulling Rory behind me, but I kept slipping on the crumbling grey earth. I tried holding on to bits of bush or root, grass or rock, anything that would stop me from falling. I told Rory to go ahead of me as he had more chance of making it to the top than I had. He tried, but after a few scrambling steps he stopped and looked round, not wanting to go on without me, and came back down again. What should I do? Panic, Rory, panic! Then I had a great idea. If I put Rory on his lead, he could possibly help me up the cliff. He was a big, healthy, strong dog, and I could help him a bit by grabbing whatever I could on the way up. It was worth a try. Rory, 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 help! By this time the water had risen over the beach we had just been walking on and was making its way up the bank, gradually edging towards the cliff, about a metre below us now. I attached Rory's red nylon lead to his collar and told him to pull. He pulled and pulled with all his strength. I grabbed whatever bits of root or twig or grass I could with my free hand, and, bit by bit, we got to the top. As I clambered over the cliff edge to safety, Rory was already laying there, his long tongue hanging out, panting for breath. I looked down to where we had just been, and the beach was gone. It was now under 3 metres of fast-running murky river water, still rapidly rising. We'd made it. I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't have stood a chance if Rory hadn't come to my aid. He was no longer just a rescued dog. He was now a rescuer, my hero, my Rory. I've been joined by another dog of mine called Coochie. She's a little Jack Russell, as you can see. So she's going to hopefully stay there while I read you the poem at the end of the chapter that I've just read. Rory the Rescuer. The river is getting higher now. Oh no, oh no. There isn't anywhere to go. Oh no, oh no. We heard it coming from afar. It sounded like a train or car, and we don't know what to do. The water's getting closer now. Oh no, oh no. We've got to get away somehow. Oh no, oh no. The water's coming up the bank. It won't be long before we're sank, and we don't know what to do. We can't return the way we came. Oh no, oh no. The cliff's the only way to go. Oh no, oh no. It's slippery and slidey there. I'm sure to fall if I did dare, and we don't know what to do. But Rory is so very strong. Oh yes, oh yes. He'll pull me up, he'll try his best. Oh yes, oh yes. He'll pull me up to the very top with a tug, a jump and great big hop. And that's what we shall do. So Rory pulled and I did climb. Oh yes, oh yes. It didn't really take much time. Oh yes, oh yes. We clambered up and over the edge, saved from a horrible watery death, and that's what we did do. Rory is my hero now. Oh yes, oh yes. A brilliant dog, the very best. Oh yes, oh yes. He saved us in our time of need by pulling me up on his red lead, and that's what he did do. I was so lucky to get Rory from the Cheltenham Animal Shelter. that I decided that I would make a donation on every book that I sell. So the more books that I sell, the better off the Cheltenham Animal Shelter can be, to help all the poor animals that are now in their care. So I hope that people will buy the book, and you can buy the book from going on to the website. The website is called Rory the Rescue Dog.co.uk, and there you can find out all the information you need about the book, about Rory's friends. He has a mugshot of lots of friends on there. You can download the music, you can download the written music, and you can download audio files. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Rory's adventures today. Remember, there are lots more adventures to discover in the book. And if you tell me when you order it that you heard it from the Cheltenham Animal Shelter read-along, then I will sign the book for you as well. You can contact me by email, with which you can find in the website. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Come on, Molly Bear.